He who asks for permission has already been denied. There is a biological reason why the nice guy finishes last. It has nothing to do with kindness. It comes down to the architecture of the female nervous system. She does not want to be asked. She wants to be taken, energetically, psychologically. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this long before modern psychology. His ideas still challenge what people want to believe today. He wrote truths so raw that scholars try to soften them. They say he spoke only about politics. He didn't. He was describing the unfiltered dynamic between the masculine and feminine. He identified a force called Fortuna. It crushes hesitant men but yields to bold ones. If you've ever seen a woman grow cold when you play safe or chase a man who doesn't, you've seen this in action. You just didn't have the language for it. Today we open that perspective. We look at the female psyche through a darker lens and give you the permission to stop asking and start leading. But this comes with a cost. You must kill the part of yourself that seeks approval. If you need to be seen as a good man, turn this off. This is not for you. For the rest of you, welcome to the truth. To understand this mindset, you must first understand how the world works through this lens, through power, chaos, and control. Machiavelli believed life is ruled by two forces: virtù, skill, strength, masculine drive, and fortuna, luck, chaos, unpredictability. These forces shape outcomes beyond simple logic. He described fortuna as a raging river. It floods, destroys, and ignores preparation. It represents chaos itself, something no man can fully control. And in his private writings, he linked fortuna to the feminine archetype, not as an insult, but as a recognition of its fluid, emotional, and ever-changing nature. The feminine nature is fluid. It shifts like the weather. One moment she is warm, the next distant. One moment she's affectionate, the next she's testing you. Most men see this and try to control it with logic. They ask questions. They try to understand. They say, "Why are you acting like this?" They attempt to negotiate with emotion, but you cannot negotiate with chaos. That is where they fail. Machiavelli observed this clearly. He believed Fortuna, the feminine force, despises hesitation. It rejects the cautious man, the one who tests the water instead of stepping in. There is a controversial idea often hidden from his writings, not because it's false, but because it's uncomfortable. It challenges modern ideas of politeness and control. At its core, it suggests that chaos responds to boldness, not caution. Not force in a physical sense, but force in presence. A willingness to disrupt patterns and lead without hesitation. The deeper meaning is psychological. The feminine mind does not respond to safety the way men think it does. It responds to strength in uncertainty. Biologically, attraction is tied to survival. A woman is wired to look for a man who can handle instability. If you cannot handle her emotional shifts, how can you handle life's chaos? When you walk on eggshells, afraid to upset her, you signal weakness. You show that her emotional state controls you, and the moment she feels that, attraction fades instantly. She doesn't need you to fix her chaos. She needs you to remain solid within it, to stand firm while everything around shifts. That stability is what she responds to. This is the first lesson. She doesn't want you to solve the storm. She wants you to stand in it without flinching, to be the constant when everything else moves. Let's go deeper. Why do nice guys fail? Because they operate on a covert contract. They believe that if they are polite, agreeable, and respectful, they will be rewarded with love and desire. They treat attraction like a transaction. If I do this, she will give me that. But attraction does not work that way. It is not negotiated. It is triggered. Machiavelli rejected this idea completely. He studied power and saw one truth: power is never given. It is taken. This applies to human interaction as much as politics. In dating, asking for permission signals hesitation. Not legal consent, that is essential, but emotional permission. It's the constant need for reassurance before taking action. Can I kiss you? Is this okay? Where do you want to go? These questions shift leadership onto her. You are asking her to guide the interaction instead of leading it. And here is the uncomfortable truth. She resents that, not consciously but deeply. Leadership is pressure. Decision-making is effort. It pulls her out of her natural flow. When she is in her feminine energy, she wants to experience, not manage. But when you hesitate, you force her into a leadership role she did not ask for. You make her the planner, the decision maker, the one responsible for the outcome. And that kills attraction because it disrupts the polarity she responds to. The alternative is simple but difficult. You lead, you decide. You say, let's go here. You create direction without needing approval for every step. This is what can be called the audacity of command. You trust your judgment and you act on it. You move forward, knowing rejection is possible and accepting it. When you take the lead, you signal two things. First, you trust your own judgment. Second, you are willing to risk rejection. And that risk is what makes the action powerful. The man who constantly asks is trying to avoid a no. The man who leads accepts that no is possible. That difference alone changes how he is perceived. In evolutionary psychology, there is a concept called costly signaling. It explains why risky traits can actually increase attraction instead of reducing it. A peacock's tail is heavy and dangerous. It makes survival harder. But that is exactly why it is attractive. It proves strength. Only a strong peacock can survive with that burden. Taking the lead works the same way. You might choose wrong. You might misread the moment. But the willingness to risk failure signals confidence and capability. That is what makes it attractive. Not perfection, but boldness. Not certainty, but the ability to act despite uncertainty. You must stop seeing rejection as a judgment of your worth. It is not personal, it is information. Data that helps you adjust and move forward. The strategic mind does not collapse after rejection. It recalibrates, it observes, adapts, and continues. But it never hands over control. Most men are raised to believe being good guarantees success. That being kind, honest, and selfless will be rewarded. But reality does not work like that. Machiavelli studied real power, not fairy tales. And he saw that success belongs to those who are effective, not those who are simply good. A man who insists on being good in every situation often loses. Not because goodness is wrong, but because the world is not structured to reward it consistently. Apply this to dating. If you are overly nice, always agreeable, always self-sacrificing, you don't appear strong. You appear harmless, and harmless is not attractive. A harmless man poses no challenge, no tension, no edge. He is safe, but also predictable, and predictability kills curiosity and desire. The real issue is not kindness, it's the absence of strength behind it. If you cannot disagree, walk away, or stand your ground, your kindness looks like weakness. Strength is not about aggression, it is about capability. The ability to choose your actions, not be controlled by fear of losing approval. A man must be capable of being dangerous and choose restraint. That is where real power lies. Not in being harmless, but in having control over your strength. This idea exists across many philosophies. Power under control. Not the absence of power, but the discipline to use it wisely. That's why the bad boy archetype exists. It's not about mistreatment. It's about freedom from social pressure. The willingness to break rules when necessary. Someone who can break rules signals independence. And independence suggests strength. It implies he can protect, lead, and stand alone if needed. The nice guy, on the other hand, often signals conformity. He follows every rule, avoids conflict, and seeks approval. That signals dependence, not strength. And deep down, that matters. If pressure comes, the conformist bends. He prioritizes acceptance over action. That makes him unreliable in moments that require strength. So the goal is not to become cruel. It is to become capable. Capable of walking away. Capable of saying no. Capable of standing firm even when it costs you. This is where most men struggle. They fear losing her, so they sacrifice themselves. But the moment you abandon yourself, you lose her anyway. Real attraction is built on tension, not comfort alone. There must be a sense that you are grounded in something stronger than her approval. Now let's talk about a powerful tool, restraint. In leadership, constant availability reduces value. The same applies in attraction. If you reveal everything, say everything, explain everything, you remove all mystery. And mystery is what keeps curiosity alive. Many men overshare. They talk too much, text too much, explain too much. They think openness builds connection, but too much exposure kills intrigue. When there is nothing left to discover, interest fades. You become predictable, easy to read, fully understood too quickly. Silence, on the other hand,